Hey there, Shawna Karrasch here with another Ask Shawna answer. Okay, so this question comes to us from Renee. And Renee says, I have a very intuitive mare and we're working on flying changes, reining back, and halting without head coming up. I was wondering about after you have developed the training with the clicker, is it something that you can wean them off from feeding reward? I would not be wearing a fanny pack or a bum bag for the UK. I would not be wearing a bum bag at a show and after a jump course be giving a reward with food. Is it something that you can just reinforce while schooling at home? Okay, this is a great question. And really, you know, the goal for me is to build a good association with these behaviors. So they like the behaviors, they are good at the behaviors, they know what part of the behaviors are so important. But when we build this good, strong reinforcement history, like, why wouldn't I do it? You know, they like to do it. It has good feelings for them. It's been heavily, strongly reinforced. So I definitely want, I mean, like when I was teaching, you know, Mint to do canter departs, you know, you had to, each little thing, as soon as he started to pick up the correct lead, you're like, that's it, you know, and you're clicking and reinforcing. It didn't even canter. Well, pretty soon you have a few strides and you go along. Well, now I don't really reinforce for canter departs very often. I mean, I might now and then, but just to say thank you and say you're good at those and I appreciate those, but it doesn't, he's not dependent on it, you know, and other people can ride my horses and they don't reinforce at all and they're quite good for them as well. So that is definitely something we want to fade those pieces from, but I want to do it in a systematic way. So you want to build up a good, strong reinforcement history with each of these behaviors, pulling apart the little pieces of it that you like, building up a good response with each of these pieces, and then so it is really associated in a reward system, a positive reinforcement history. So it is something that they enjoy and something that they like. So it's definitely something you want to do. You know, a lot of people know about the story of me working with well, BZ Madden. That's where I started my business, was with at the invitation of BZ Madden, her husband, John Madden. I lived and traveled with them for about a year. But there's also the story about a horse named Judgment, and he had a huge water issue. I mean, huge. And he had, you know, another Olympic rider working with him before. So we had the best trainers, some of the best trainers in the world working with him, but they couldn't get over his water jumping issue through traditional means. So needed to use a whole different tactic and help make it clear. So back then you could actually have a clicker in the schooling ring, or in the ring. It was at Spruce Meadows. Now I guess they've ruled on it, and they've ruled you can't have a clicker. So it's nice I had to rule on it. But anyway, so the whole thing, he was at home. They pulled him from shows and said, we're going to get over this. We're going to build a new, better association. Took him back to baby stuff like a baby horse and little jumps and little things, and build up till it's bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until he's jumping the open water. And then they took him to other places outside of his home to do it. So shift context. When you have context shift, you can lose a lot of criteria, and made sure he's good there, and then built it up. And then they took him up to Spruce Meadows. Well, by now nobody knew what they were doing. And I guess they were clicking and targeting and clicking in the schooling ring, and people like, they've lost it. And, you know, they're saying, this horse, he's awful. The derby is chock full of water, open water. But sure enough, they were in the schooling ring saying, remember this is a training we're doing, this is a game we're playing, this is a thing you love. And then they took him in as she rode past the water. This was before the clock even. She just rode past the water, and he didn't bow away from it, which he used to do. So he's nice and soft. So she clicked. She felt him nicker. She just asked him to keep going. They went on and jumped the course. And as soon as she got through the timers, she could then reinforce him. So by now, so she could click each of those components that she said, that's good. That water jump's perfect. That water jump's perfect. That jump was nice. So she didn't bridge everything. She chose the things that were special. And then he knew by this point, because of this slow, systematic processing, the clicker itself had become a conditioned reinforcer. So you want to build up to that point where it's like, I love jumping, and I love rein back, and I love, you know, halting with my head down. So make each of those components clear. The clicker is a precise instrument to tell them exactly what you like. And because there's something in it for them, I mean, think about through traditional training, what's in it for them to want to put their head low? Well, not a lot, outside of maybe pressure that we may create. But with a positive reinforcement, they start going, there's something in it for me. I want to figure it out. And they become as invested in the outcome of the training as we do. So that's a very, very different horse. And one of the things that John Madden, Beezy's husband, said right away, he said, this builds heart in a horse. And that's exactly what it does, because they're in it with you 100%. They want to figure it out as much as you do. They come and meet you there. So what I suggest is you do it at home, you work it through, you fine tune it, you get it just like you like. What I would suggest then doing is going to a friend's place, some other place, or go to a show and just school. And I would click and reinforce all over the place. So they don't learn that it only happens at home, but sometimes we can go to these other places and it happens too. And then I would even go in a schooling show where you throw away the class. You go in and you do things. I would click and reinforce even in the midst of it, and just know it's a throwaway. It's not a throwaway because it's an investment in the future. And you're saying this can happen anytime, anywhere. And you get a chance to build that reinforcement history and go, the same thing is happening here. Don't get distracted and worried about all this other stuff. Just focus on what you're doing and keep the same criteria. So you can work those components at home or even at shows or schooling shows, and then build it up until you have, till you feel like you've got that consistent good performance at the shows. And then I would move into the actual shows that may count more to you. So there's a way to do it. Don't just have it be here and there. They're two separate things. I would try to integrate them as much as you can. It doesn't mean you have to do it all right in the arena. But if you can do a couple little shows that don't matter, you can actually build a lot of, you got to score a lot of points with your horse on that one. Anyway, so that is a fantastic question. And it is certainly something that you want to wean off of. If you are not, I don't ever wean off of it entirely, but I don't want it to be dependent on it. It tends to be that I've worked on this and then I find something else I would like to be a little bit better. So I kind of can, or any given day, I think, oh, you know what, your counterparts are as good as usual, and I might work on some component that I want to fine tune. So I don't ever really quit all the way, although you could, but I still just keep going and using it at some point in time. One of the things that my ex-husband, who has been World Cup qualifier, World Cup competition, he was longlisted for the Olympics, and somebody asked him one time in a clinic and said, when did you get away from the treats? And he said, the difference it makes in the horses, I never want to. And I thought that was really powerful. And then he went on to say, up until this point, I've grabbed my bridle and my bit and my stick and all these things. I grabbed those every time I rode. Why wouldn't I just grab a cookie or two to have in my pocket? Because it makes such a difference. So I think that was very impactful thing when he said that, and I thought, exactly. I was newer to horses at this point, coming from the marine mammal world. I just think about marine mammal training, and I thought that was a very poignant way to put it. So I would highly recommend you keep on with the training, but you fade the elements out so you can do the longer term. You're building duration, building up a kind of a chain, as it were, of behaviors. Okay, so excellent question. I really appreciate that and the chance to address it. And I would love to hear from you, Renee, and find out how you're going, how it's going for you, how you're doing, and if you have any questions. If you or anybody else has more questions and wants to have more help in integrating the positive reinforcement with your training, I definitely recommend going to connectiontraining.com. We started that to help people in different areas of the world that can't get a good positive reinforcement trainer right there. But it's online courses and it's live video, we can do video critiques, we can do live calls, we do things to help people to ensure success all over the world, actually. We have people from all over the world on the site. So if you're the type that wants to learn more about the positive reinforcement, be part of the community, maybe get a little bit more help, I would suggest going to connectiontraining.com. If you want to just get more products or learn more about me, you can go to shawnakarrasch.com. But until next time, I hope this helps you out and enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye, Renee.